Okay, we're moving on to reports of standing or ongoing Board of Governors committees. I'm the first one executive committee meeting. Well, we had an executive committee meeting, and the agenda that you're looking at now was mostly formed during that executive committee meeting. That's all I want to report about that. Apex Awards, Governor Bell.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. Just a brief update. First of all, as was already mentioned, of course, the live Apex show is tonight at 7 p.m. I hope everyone will be able to tune in and watch as we honor the award recipients. The event last night I thought was outstanding. I'd like to recognize a few of our staff members who really worked tirelessly on it. And I know I'm not going to get everybody, but I particularly want to take a moment to recognize Mike Kroner, Jen Oligario, Sarah Nagowski, Paris Erickson, Shelley Bynum. And if I could ask for a brief round of applause for those staff members. Thank you. The only other item, Mr. President, is I would note, I thought the venue was outstanding. It struck more than one person that we were surrounded by beautiful, valuable, and in some cases, thought-provoking works of art, and our honorees met all of those criteria and all of those characteristics. So thank you again to all those staff members and those who made it happen. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Personnel Committee, Governor Higginson.
No report, thank you.
Legislative Committee, Governor Williams-Ruth.
No report.
Nominations Committee, Governor Boyd and Governor President-elect Clark.
Thank you. We don't really have a report. We did have to reschedule a meeting from Tuesday because we needed quorum. So if you have not responded to Paris's email, please do so we can find a time to have that meeting.
Equity and Diversity Council, Governor Angeville.
Name we're a council, and I almost didn't recognize it. I was like, wait, what is that?
What is that?
Oh, I see. It's the council we created. The Diversity Council is doing great work. We've had a little bit of issues with quorum ourselves, so we haven't been able to meet the last 2 months, but the work has not stopped. Our subcommittees continue to work. We have one subcommittee on the definition of diversity, and they are continuing to do outreach, seek feedback, and you probably will be hearing more about it in the meetings to come. We also have a membership study subcommittee that met with consultants, and they've begun the process of seeking input on a survey design for a membership demographic study that I think is going to inform a lot of our work moving forward. We just had our last DEI legal lunchbox installment of the fiscal year on Tuesday, called Not Over Yet, the Impact of COVID-19, Racial Reckoning, and SCOTUS on LGBTQ and Two-Spirit Civil Rights, presented by the Q Law Foundation. And we're getting ready to co-host with the Council on Public Defense the film screening of Who We Are, A Chronicle of Racism in America, next Thursday. So watch out for that. And that's all the news that's fit to print, as they say.
Thank you very much, Governor Angeville. Moving on to the Long Range Strategic Planning Council, we decided to have a meeting earlier this month to talk about whether we wanted to make a recommendation to the Board of Governors about buying a building. And we had a very spirited discussion, and after careful consideration, decided not to make a recommendation one way or the other. So hopefully we'll be involved in the long-range strategic plan for whether we stay in downtown Seattle or whether we buy a building somewhere, or whether we buy more than one building, or whether we have more than one location as we move forward in our strategic planning process. But it was really a good discussion, and we had a lot of good information shared back and forth. And I do believe later on in our meeting, we're going to get a little bit of update from our from our real estate brokers about what's going on with the building right now. Okay, Member Engagement Council, the Fun Committee, Governor Peterson and Governor Adwale.
The funnest.
The funnest.
The funnest council.
Funnest, okay.
Yeah, that's the report for that group. For BNA, the report for that group is it continues to not be the funnest committee for the Board of Governors. Thank you.
I want to take this moment to thank Governor Peterson for being the funnest and not so funnest. And thank Governor Adwale for being the funnest, period. But unfortunately, he's going to inherit the not so fun. Both of you have been really tremendous in your member engagement work, and also Governor Peterson, you've been tremendous in your budget audit work. And I know you got a big presentation coming up later today. So thank you very, very much. Equity and Disparity Work Group, Governor Stevens. Governor Stevens, are you there?
He's on mute.
You're on mute. Rex, what do you got to dial? Get off mute. *9. Sure, yeah, maybe we could have the executive director sub for Governor Stevens.
So on the consent calendar, hopefully you all noticed that we approved an extension of this work group's charter by a few months. This work group had two subcommittees, one of which you heard from a few meetings ago, that was looking at the hybrid court, looking at an encouragement to continue hybrid courts and develop court rules around that. The other subcommittee is looking at proposing a change to GR 12.2. Specifically related to the restrictions around what kind of work the Bar Association can engage in. So that work group is currently gathering input from minority bar associations, from sections, and from other stakeholders. And they're hoping to bring a proposal to the board in November. And if the board approves that, then it would be a recommendation to the court.
Governor Stevens, are you there?
Yes, I am finally. I could not get to my phone to unmute, so thank you. Executive Director was spot on. Thank you very much. The one thing I did want to just share with the board is that we wanted to make sure before the Equity and Disparity Work Group comes to the Board of Governors with a recommendation regarding GR 12, that actually all of the possible interested parties, especially our sections and our standing boards and committees, had a chance to review our proposal and comment on it, so that at least they have been, if not vetted, at least made aware and given an opportunity to comment before we finish our work. So thank you.
Thank you, Governor Stevens. All right, let's see. Supreme Court Bar Licensure Task Force, Governor Williams-Ruth.
Thank you, Mr. President. The task force is moving along. With the change in co-chairs, there was a slight delay in, well, anytime there's a change in leadership, there's usually a kind of slowdown in the progress. And so we have not made as much forward momentum as we were hoping over the summer. But there is progress to be had, and that Monday, this coming Monday, whatever day that is, at 11 a.m., which is a change from prior times, it's 11, not 10. The task force will be hearing the report from the Character and Fitness Subcommittee, of which I am the chair, and we have unanimous recommendations out of our subcommittee regarding proposed amendments, adjustments, revisions to the character and fitness process that will be fully comprehensive. And so Those who are interested are invited to come to the Zoom meeting on Monday at 11 a.m.
Thank you, Governor Williams-Ruth. Taxi cab, media past president Kyle Schicchetti.
Thank you, President Tolleson. Taxi cab, as a reminder, is the task force administering exenial involvement with court-appointed boards. It's kind of a complicated acronym, but it's meant to, the task force is meant to facilitate and examining the different roles, responsibilities, and understandings with the hope of coming together on a policy that would clarify those roles between the WSBA and the court-appointed boards, and the WSBA's involvement in administering their important work. We are continuing working on a policy that we're almost completed. We have a small drafting group that met last week, I believe, and we are just about ready to present that policy to the full task force. And then once we've done that, I expect we will have a proposal at the November meeting for how we better can work together, facilitate our respective work, and smooth out some rough edges that we've experienced in the past. So I look forward to presenting to you in November on that topic.
Thank you very much for that report. All right, we are a little ahead of schedule, so we're going to do a little jumping around on the agenda because our public health program manager is going to be here at 10, and so we're going to. Oh, we have a comment, question for our esteemed chair of the
This is on the
taxi cab.
taxi cab issue, because this came up at our FLEC meeting last weekend. If it's going to be presented to the board in November, at what point will we see a draft so that we can really provide some feedback? Because it's come up as part of our position on the LLT proposal that we're going to be considering, I think, later today or tomorrow.
We'll expect to have our proposal included in the meeting materials for next month, but we can also provide you with a copy of it as soon as it's ready.
So prior to the retreat, does that?
Not sure when the retreat is.
I would imagine that following the full meeting of taxi cab, we'll probably have the draft.
Yeah.
And so that's probably 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks.
2 or
from
3
now?
weeks.
That'd be great, because, you know, it's always a problem when we get things only a week ahead of log meeting. Thanks.
Thank you, Nancy Hawkins. Anybody else have any questions for the chair of the taxi cab committee?